All right, we're gonna start this off with a bang. Welcome to my first video on this channel, and I'm so excited to get started because I love reading, like, all the time. It's my favorite thing to do, and it helps me, it helps my brain, honestly, because I'm able to go inside a world and not even worry about anything else that's going on except for what is going on in that world. So I love it. I love talking about said books. And I think I have a cat that's trying to get into the room. I was right. This is Bandito. Say hi, Bandito. He's the cutest little thing in the entire world. My second point was that I love to talk about said books, and I love to yap. And to be so completely honest, my husband listens to me yap too much about books, and so then I was like, what is a better place than to just throw it onto the internet and see if people agree and disagree with my yapping. So with this first video, we're just gonna follow along with my week of reading and see what books I'm reading, see what I think about them, how I rated them, and all of that jazz. So let's get right into it. I'm already 73 pages done with this book, and I'm starting to really like it. It was like a little slow at the very beginning. It was kind of hard for me to like get used to like the writing style and everything, but as I'm getting closer and closer, I'm saying that as if I've only read this much, to the rest of the book, I'm feeling very optimistic. I'm very, there are already some things that I've like wanted to like underline and like take pictures of and just like keep in my brain forever. So that's a good sign. Okay, so it's the next day. I think yesterday, let's see, I got to page 128, and tomorrow after I kind of like finished up my reading, we ended up going to a concert. So I went to go see Half Alive, which was a lot of fun, and I was able to listen to some great music. Like the openers were both really great. The concert was so fantastic. These are the bands that I saw, and I was able to get some good new like song recommendations and yeah, it was just a really fun time. But now I'm gonna keep on reading. Like I said, I'm at like page 127, and it's right here where we're gonna start this section called Unfair Games. This book has my jaw on the floor. I did not think that I was going to enjoy this story when I first started, to be so completely honest. I do not play video games, never played video games my whole life. Like, my husband is really into him, and so I've learned more from him than I have like my whole life. And so discovering that this story line was all about video games and creating video games and influence of video games and all of these things, I was like, oh, okay, I could easily see myself getting confused and getting bored. However, the plot and the story and the characters and the writing, like, you don't even have to know anything about video games and you will understand what's going on in this game, which is, or in this book, see, which is what's so amazing. Look, we got another visitor. You're Soupy, but she doesn't like being held, so she just right now, in the book, we just finished up kind of like the introduction of obviously like who the characters are. So we are following Sam and Sadie, and they both met each other when they were kids, and they've kind of like been on again, off again friends, all the way until we meet them again up in college when they meet up, and that's when they decide to make a video game together. And it's just been their story of their past and their childhood, and then how they've reconnected, and then how the beginning of their video game like planning and programming and like advertising and all that stuff has kind of started. And that's kind of where we are, and so we're gonna keep on going and see how it turns out. It's been a couple of days since I last read, just like super busy, not had the time to read. Well, that's a lie. I actually was able to read my book that I am reading from a book club at work, but that's just like a little like self-helpy type, like nonfiction. But I had to read that because we have our book club meeting tomorrow, and so I have not even been able to pick this up. But now I have a little bit of time, so I'm gonna see about how many chapters I can get done before I fall asleep. But I'm really excited to get back to these characters, so. I've been able to get through a good chunk of Book Lovers today. I'm on chapter 22 at the moment, and we're about to go over to Jake's parents' house for dinner and to watch the first episode of The Last of Us. So I might get a little bit of reading done because I don't really know much about the show. I might not watch the show, to be honest. So I might get a little bit of reading done while I'm over there, but I will keep you updated. All right, so I'm about this much done with Book Lovers, and which is chapter 29 or page 302. I'm about to finish this book. Like, it's happening tonight. I just guarantee it. I guarantee it. And it's just been so good, and I'm getting to the part where and they're talking about it too, which is the crazy part, but I'm getting to the part where I love the story and I love the characters, but I'm so scared for like where they're gonna end up. Like, I want to keep reading because I love the story and I love Nora and I love Charlie and I love Libby, but I'm just I want to keep reading because of them, but I don't want to keep reading because of what I'm like scared could possibly happen, because I really don't know if it's gonna be like I don't know if it's gonna end the way that I want it to end, truly. So this is where I'm at. It's a little bit of a dilemma, a little bit of like a paradox. Like, I want to keep reading, but I don't want to keep reading. And the thing is they literally are saying this. Oh my god, where is it? And she's talking about books. The ones that speak to me are those whose final pages admit there is no going back, that every good thing must end, that every bad thing does too, that everything does. That is what I'm looking for every time I flip to the back of a book, compulsively checking for proof that in a life where so many things have gone wrong, there can be beauty too, that there's always hope no matter what. The very last page of this chapter. Knowing how it will feel when I turn the page, but unwilling. Knowing how it will feel when I turn the page, but unwilling not to turn it at all. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I want this book to end because I want to know what is happening, but I don't want this book to end because I don't want the story to end. Does that make sense? I don't know. But that's where I'm at. And you know what is happening tonight? It's just going to. I only got this much left. So, we're gonna do this. I love Liquid Death because it literally makes me feel like I'm drinking something like so fancy and so special, but it's literally just like flavored water. I don't know. And this cherry one, girl, don't even get me started. So this week I was able to read a total of 2 books. I read a total of 2. However, I got started on another one that I am currently reading with a book club at my work. So I'll talk a little bit about all 3 of those books. The first one that I finished, that you guys saw me finish, was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Don't get me wrong, it kind of took me a little while to get like into it. When I first started reading it, it like felt kind of slow to me, and so like the building of the characters and the building of the video game it kind of took a lot of brain power for me to like really understand what was going on and really like get into it. But I don't know what happened about halfway through this book, but it like completely switched on me. I could not put this book down, and I ended up reading the majority of it in just like one sitting. The story follows a group of friends who like met in college. 2 of them had met each other like when they were children, but it really starts the story for when they meet in college, and they are in like programming, and like I don't even know a whole lot about video games, but they're in school for this kind of stuff, and it's the 80s and the 90s, and that you are just watching their lives unfold while you're also seeing them like run a business and make video games, and the drama and the life that happens to them in this time. So it's very wonderful. I have so many things underlined. It's actually crazy. And I'm not an underlined person. There are just things in this book that made me feel, I don't know, very understood. I fell in love with, oh my lord, why don't I know his name right now? Hold on. Marx. See, my brain was thinking Marx, but I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be wrong, but I was there. Marx, fell in love with him. Favorite character in the entire book. If you know, you know. And like Sadie was my close second. I think my least favorite was Sam, which is kind of wild because he's like the main like side A character. Girl, I just made a connection. I don't know if y'all that's so crazy. I just made this connection. I have to find it. I literally have to find this right now. Okay. So there's this entire part in this book and it's called Both Sides, and it's so brilliant because it's talking about like vinyls. But back in the day when they would have a single, they would have like side A be like the #1 hit, like the most popular song, and then side B would be a song that like maybe it's not as popular, maybe not as good. And they talk about in this book like the irony of sometimes the better song being a side B versus the one that everybody like pushes for, and all the marketing is for the side A song, but the side B song is the better song for the fans. And so I just made that connection because Sam is the side A character. Like, he's the main of the two that you're supposed to like fall in love with, and I just happened to like Sadie. Wow. It's a full circle moment, you guys. That was crazy. That was absolutely so crazy. Full circle moment. I'm like flabbergasted. That was crazy. It's just a very wonderful, wonderful book. Very slice of life, which I love. I eat that up. It was very, very, very wonderful. And before I even finished this book, I had recommended it to like 3-4 other people before I even finished it. So yeah, if you haven't read it, put it on your list, get it done, because this was awesome. The reason why it's not a 5-star to me is because it took me so long to get connected to the characters. If I was like, oh my gosh, so hooked to these characters right from the start, I would have been gone. Would have been a 5-star read for sure. However, it was a little slow at the beginning, and so it took me a while, and then by the time like things were kind of going down, I felt a little like I got to know the characters well, but I didn't feel connected to the characters, if that makes sense. And so that was just like my biggest thing of like, wow, the writing is phenomenal. The connections created in this book from like literally page 1 to the very last page, like so brilliant. And I loved the characters and all of that stuff. So it was a very fantastic read. 4.5. So the second book that I read this week was Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which this is my second Emily Henry book. I have read Funny Story earlier this year and I loved it. It was like a 4.75 for me. And so I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to pick up every single Emily Henry that exists in the entire world and I need to read them all. And so my very next book that I picked up was Book Lovers. And so it follows Nora and Charlie, and they are both in like the book industry. Nora is like a publishing agent and Charlie is an editor, and they live in New York City, and they like met each other like a year or two ago, just like talking about like a client, and like had the worst taste in Nora's mouth. She was just like, she had a rough day. He was being weird when they met, and so she was just like, who is this guy? Get him out of my face. And she's a little like, I don't know how to say it, like an ice queen. I don't know. She's really not that, how do I say, like grumpy. like, she's not quite like the grumpy character. I think life has just kind of like hit her hard, and so she has this like different kind of filter on life, and so she looks at things very, very differently and very like pessimistic sometimes, and she just has the things that she cares about. So I wouldn't necessarily say she's an ice queen, and she's not really cold either. I don't know, I feel like she has just had life kind of like done to her, and she's had to really like figure that out and deal with that, which is kind of why she decides to go on this trip with her sister to this small town, Sunshine Falls in North Carolina, which is also like the place of like Libby, her sister's like favorite book. And they go on this sister's trip where they are kind of like, hey, we need a month's break from life, and let's just go to this place, and here's our bucket list, and let's just do it. And then it's like their whole story of their month being in Sunshine Falls, which of course they run into Charlie, which is just like a fantastic storyline. So that's all you need to know. And then it just forms from there, which is absolutely phenomenal. So I really, really, really enjoyed this book, and I really enjoyed the story, and I really enjoyed the characters. I fell in love with Libby. I love Libby so much. She's my favorite character ever in this whole book, and that's Nora's sister. And I don't know if it's because I have a sister and my sister also is pregnant at the moment, but I was just like so protective and loving of Libby. I was like, oh my gosh, like she just was, I don't know, I just loved her character and loved her little family that they introduced into this book, which is so crazy because she's this just a little side character. Charlie and Nora's romance and story, honestly, it kind of like bubbles from enemies to lovers. It was a blast to read. I had a lot of fun. I also was able to read this just in like a few days, which I feel like is like pretty good for me. I loved it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put this as like a 4.25. It's not as good as Funny Story, in my opinion. Funny Story was like the best book I could have possibly like started off in. I loved that story, and I love those characters. And this one was good, just not as, if that makes sense. But a very, very good read. I'm very excited to keep going with Emily Henry. I have 2 more of her books that I want to read, but then there's like the rest of her writings that I would love to go into. So yeah, the next book that I started reading this week was The Power of Moments by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. They're the Heath brothers. This is a nonfiction, kind of like self-helpy, but like corporate. It's like I said, this is a book that I started reading for our book club at my job. It's very good so far. I'm only like a little bit in because we just started, and I don't want to read like too far ahead, just because like when we meet for the meetings and stuff, I get like, I don't know, I need everything to be categorized in my brain like the perfect way for me to talk about it and retain it and all of that stuff. So I've only gotten about 45 pages in. It is very good so far. It's about how like human lives are just built on moments, and a lot of things that like stick in our brain as like significant memories are really just moments in our life. And so this book is about like explaining what those moments look like, and then how we can actually like create them in the people's lives around us. So I'm very interested to see how it keeps going, but so far I really enjoyed it. This is that book which I will continuously be reading on and off again for a little while. But yeah, all right, so these are the 3 books that I have been reading over this last week. I am very, very excited to keep on going with this like YouTube journey, honestly. Like I said, I love to yap, and yap specifically about the books that I'm reading. So I am very, very excited to kind of have this outlet. On to the next book, which you will see me next video. Love you guys.